My wife Carla spends time on Twitter. Twitter and Carla are highly compatible. They get along great. More power to her. With me, it's just the opposite. Twitter and I are incompatible. I can't stand Twitter. Probably Twitter can't stand me, but that's okay because I have the book of Proverbs in the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures. It's a book that follows the book of Psalms. Proverbs is just like Twitter without the Twitter part. Proverbs, well, they get right to the point. The other day, I was reading in the book of Proverbs and I came across an absolute treasure. It jumped my needle hard. It's Proverbs chapter 22, verse 4. In the Passion Translation, it reads this way: laying your life down in tender surrender before the Lord will bring life, prosperity, and honor as your reward. Let's break that down. On the surface, it sounds kind of like maybe what you and I experienced when we were kids. If you eat your vegetables, you get dessert. If you clean your room, you can go out and play. It has that kind of flavor on the surface, doesn't it? You know, if we just lay our lives down in tender surrender to the Lord, then we get a lot of money and everybody thinks we're just the greatest thing ever. That's not where it's going. The part that jumped my needle so much is that first phrase, laying your life down in tender surrender before the Lord will bring life, prosperity, and honor as your reward. I'm all about the first part of that verse. I'm laying my life down constantly in tender surrender before the Lord. I've told you before that I am letting go of everything I thought I knew about relinquishment. I believe relinquishment is the secret sauce when it comes to the life of faith. I believe relinquishment is the secret sauce when it comes to prayer, communication with God. If you're like me, I hope you're not, but if you're like me, we keep running into this tension with our ego, with our small selves, our lower selves. We want our way. And we have to learn to let go. I have to learn to let go. These days, as a discipline, I'm experimenting with being out of my mind, out of my feelings, out of my preferences, out of my illusions, out of my assumptions. I'm letting go. And I'm laying my life down in tender surrender before the Lord, which means in a conscious awareness of God's presence. And in that laying down of my life in tender surrender before the Lord, what I'm discovering is that I'm into every breath I take, every heartbeat, every single unrepeatable moment, every interaction with every child of God. Notice I'm not saying, wow, I started laying my life down in tender surrender before the Lord, and you wouldn't believe the money that's coming my way. You wouldn't believe how people's opinion of me is suddenly just through the roof. No, it's all internal. And it's death and resurrection. See, when we pair verses like this with the Gospels and with the New Testament, the Christ-following life is a matter of saying no to self, letting go, taking up our crosses daily. That's surrendering, tenderly surrendering, laying down our lives before the Lord, and following Jesus, following the words and the ways of Jesus. And it tends to be its own reward. I'm not disappointed, because as I lay my life down in tender surrender before the Lord, my quality of life soars. And it feels kind of like prosperity and honor from the inside out. Laying your life down in tender surrender before the Lord will bring life, prosperity, and honor as your reward. Grace and peace.